Hello and welcome back to Warhammer. I'm your host, Mark, and joining me today, who do we got? We got drumroll Gerald. What's good, man?
Hello, everybody.
Yes, we're ready to take a little journey across the galaxy together and in our little imaginary spacecraft. We also got Logan. Yo.
Hey, how's it going?
Yeah, going good. Today we're going to be talking about the Milky Way galaxy. So it's going to be a big episode, I suppose, but at the same time, it's going to feel so cozy. You know, there's a lot of stuff just crammed really tight in there, and we're going to try to get to a lot of it. But yeah, before we get into it, we'll just do some quick housekeeping. Come join the Discord. It's a fun place to hang out. If you need a link, this episode description, so be some there, message the show on Facebook or whatever, and links will be sent out.
A lot of good stuff there. And come join the Imperial Tithe, because God Emperor Mark wants you to join his inexhaustible armies. So for $2.50, aka 2.5 teeth, you get access to ad-free versions on Spotify. And then for 5 teeth, you get access to the live feed, where you get to see a bunch of our beautiful faces, and we act out all kinds of silliness, especially the Orc RPG.
Oh, yeah.
It's amazing.
We didn't get to play it this week. We're doing this instead, but it was a lot of fun recording that. And this episode will be great for any video stuff. We're going to be pulling up a lot of galactic maps and stuff. So galactic cartography in the future to come.
Yeah, that's important. And if you guys want to access this, make sure you join us on the Patreon. You also get to be part of the live chat room during the show, and we have a lot of regulars that we like to talk to and chit chat for and have fun with. And at the end of the episode, we'll let you call in and you can come join the show. We asked if Neil deGrasse Tyson wanted to be on this episode, but unfortunately just didn't line up with us, so you're stuck with me instead.
Yeah, you know, it was like, okay, well, if we can't get him, who's next on the list? And it was, in fact, you, Logan.
I appreciate that it's him and then me. I mean, as it should be. He's clearly smarter in this aspect, but I'm close.
Yeah. We'll get learn together, all of us. We'll learn some things. I actually learned something this episode that I've probably said wrong for the last 20 plus years. So I can't wait to share that with everyone, my deep, dark failures and whatnot. But this episode, we are talking about the Milky Way galaxy, and we're going to be going into the astrography, different segmentums. You've heard a lot of them before. The segmentum solar, tempestus, pacificus, obscurus, ultima. And then we're going to dive into the galactic core and the circumnuclear disk. Ooh, that's a word. And then we're going to talk about some prominent warp rifts in the galaxy. And after we lay out all that little bit of detail, we're going to dive into the history. And I kind of came up with my own unofficial history of the galaxy. I'm excited to run past all of you guys. You know, it's different than what you would read some other places, but I think it's suitable and fitting. And after that, we're going to just go into territories and civilizations. Like I said, we got a lot of star maps to pull up on this episode. And this portion is going to be fun. Definitely come check us out, because we're going to be looking more than talking. You're going to hear us go, ooh, that's pretty cool, a whole lot when we're talking about that part. And then at the end, we're just going to talk about other galaxies. This is going to just be a nice little context episode for the groundwork for some future episodes here, where we can dive into like the halo stars or the Calexis sector, or just different areas in the galaxy. But we want to know what the galaxy is, how things are laid out, and all that kind of fun stuff first. So easy peasy. Let's get your guys' opinion on this Milky Way galaxy. Is this our universe?
In this Milky Way or the 40K Milky Way?
Yeah, like it's 40K, 40,000 years in the future, you know? Is that our future?
I'm going to, not our future, but an alternate future is what I'm going with.
I could very well see that. I saw a meme earlier today. It said, "Time traveler, what is your favorite fictional universe?" Me, of course, Warhammer 40,000. I said fictional universe.
Oh.
Well, I have the official answer to this question some point during this episode. So
ooh, exciting.
Stay tuned. Yeah,
nice.
But yeah, let's just kind of get into it. Let's talk about the galaxy.
Fantastic. I always like a good general overview. The galaxy of man, more often called simply the galaxy or the void of unending war, is the cradle and the grave of humanity, within which festers the imperium of man and countless other abominations that claw for dominion. It is a vast barred spiral of stars and dust, chained to the cosmic corpse cluster known as the local group. It is but one among uncountable galaxies adrift in the black ocean of reality. I think something else was supposed to be an ocean too. Each distant fire doomed to ash, its name whispered through ancient tongues as Via Lactea and Galaxias, recalls the pallid scar of light seen in the night of old Terra, an omen of the countless souls consumed in its eternal wars. Some chronicles argue that the name should mark only the pale wound of the light seen across the heavens of Terra and other worlds, while the true host of stars should bear the fuller title, Milky Way Galaxy. Yet such pedantry is drowned by millennia of bloodshed, and across the Imperium, the name the Galaxy endures, ever synonymous with slaughter without end.
Yeah, the Milky Way galaxy. Some people call it that, but over time, I'm sure that branding has changed a little bit, and lots of people just kind of also have no knowledge of the outside world, outside of their world. So it's just, every planet could have their own little fucking title for the place. But when we're looking at a star map, I did pull one up here. It's pretty cool. You'll notice a couple unique things on it. Some purple streaks everywhere. Somebody spilt something in the milk for sure.
It's crazy they haven't changed it into something in the 40K universe like the bloody way, with how much fighting and slaughter they talk about all the time.
For real.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Well, fuck. That's close. It's a little too on the nose, the bloody way, but I like the concept of that.
The violent galaxy.
They done one up on Star Wars though, because I don't think the Star Wars galaxy ever got a name. So
yeah, a galaxy far, far away. That's funny. Didn't get one.
Arguably, it's the same galaxy. Oh no, is it a long time ago? Oh, it is a galaxy far, far away. You're right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Huh. I don't know why I got it. I'm dyslexic. I got it mixed up in my head as a kid, and apparently I've never updated it to it's our galaxy in the past. I've just been living with that headcanon.
Oh man, you're just living with a different timeline.
Yeah. Although many people have tried to say, "Oh, this is the Star Wars galaxy," so
100%.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so let's talk some astrography. Ugh, that's a tongueful. Astrography. I'm going with astrography.
Love it.
All right. And I never say it again, hopefully. All right. The stellar carcass of the galaxy is some 100,000 light years across, a disk of ash and fire roughly 1,000 light years thick, swollen with uncountable suns. Scholars of the Adeptus Mechanicus decree that there are at least 200 billion stars and perhaps as many as 400 billion, with a cruel median of 300 billion. Though the tally is uncertain, clouded by the vermin light of dwarves and dying embers, clouded by vermin light, dying dwarves and embers. By blasphemous comparison, the swollen monstrosity of Andromeda festers with 1 trillion stars, a reminder that even the galaxy of man is not supreme in the abyss. Fake news. We're the best at everything. The disk bleeds outwards without edge, no clean border where light ceases. Instead, its stars thin and fade with distance from the core. Beyond 40,000 light years from the galactic heart, the number collapses sharply. The reasons buried in the mysteries older than humanity. Perhaps it was the hand of the warp, or the scars of wars lost before man crawled out from old Terra's oceans. None dare claim to know. Beyond the stellar disk stretches bloated shroud of gas, a heavier veil that reaches 12,000 light years thick at the galactic center. From this corpse breath swells the galactic halo, hemmed by the gravitic leashes of the small and large Magellanic spawn, whose orbits grow at 180,000 light years. There, beyond that desolate frontier, stars and wandering things are torn free, hurled screaming into the outer void, exiled from the galaxy's grasp. Within its breath linger hundreds of billions of suns and uncounted millions of worlds where life festers. Across eons, entire races have risen and rotted away, dying with whimpers or thunderous collapses, each devoured by time's pitiless hunger.
Anytime I talk about Galaxy on the Galaxy on Lorehammer, I just get lost in how fucking big it is. Like our real life galaxy as well, you know, like these distances, 100,000 light years across, like you're not ever crossing that ever, man. Like that's, you can't fathom 400 billion stars, man. That's just like wild. I want to be the first one to see them all.
See it. With the right hallucinogenic, you can.
Yeah, that's probably the one sad thing about you know, reality or whatever, is we probably won't ever make it to the next star system over. Not without some crazy stuff. I was listening to this thing and they're like, it's easier to go inwards into like technology and like simulations than it is to go outwards, you know, and distance, man,
sense.
it's crazy.
Because going inwards, you have the supply of, just thinking about it, you have the supply here. So the deeper in you go, you can just pull the supplies back and push it in, versus going out, you're going to run out of supplies eventually. So it's go back and forth, or how do you fix that?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So interesting. All right. Mankind's first foray into this endless dark is gone, obliterated by 20 millennia of blood and ruin. In this age of the Imperium, the empire of humanity is merely the latest carrion lord enthroned upon the bones of those who ruled before, feeding upon their dust. That is such a hard line. The Imperium is a colossus of suffering, coiled in the galactic west where man's teeming worlds choke one another in endless industry. Terra, a corpse home of humanity, chains all to the will of its master. A million worlds lie shackled in the faith of the undying emperor. Billions of warriors stand in ceaseless vigil. Starfleets without number drown the void in iron. And yet, even this brutal dominion is but a flicker of frail order. Each imperial world is a candle suffocated by the black gale of the void. For every planet broken beneath the yoke of Terra, 1,000 others writhe in the shadows unclaimed. Alien empires brood at the edge of sight, and the renegade human dominions spit upon the creed of the Emperor. In this cursed era Indomitus, the galaxy is torn asunder by the burst of a great rift, a wound across the stars, throughout which the Immaterium vomits its horrors. Beyond the grasp of the Ecclesiastes zealots are relics of power older than the Imperium itself. Some whisper salvation lies in such forgotten vaults, a path to shatter the Emperor's throne and avenge the false dawn of his great crusade. Many still kneel to darker gods, who answer blood with power and sacrifice with eternity. Yet for now, the Imperium remains supreme, a tyranny of dusk ruling over a million worlds scattered like bones across the corpse galaxy. To bind this nightmare, the Adeptus Terra and the High Lords divide the void into 5 segmentae majoris, vast domains of war and law.
Nice. The other thing I always think about doing Lorehammer is just time, when we talk about these huge gaps of time. And, you know, even here we hinted about some dark age of technology time and how empires have risen and fallen, even human empires, even the Emperor going out into the galaxy was not the first time mankind conquered the galaxy. So it's like time is a crazy fuck of a thing.
just I don't know why a headcanon just popped up because Star Trek they did all the adventures and stuff. Star Trek happened, fails, and then the Imperium happens and does it again.
Possibly. Yeah, write a fan fiction for that, and I might be in it if you do it just right.
All right, I gotta catch up on my Star Trek lore to make it work.
Yeah, that is important. Yes, I'm.
What's what was the name of that annoying guy that was popping in and teleported all the time?
Q.
Q, yeah, Q's the Emperor. Headcanon confirmed.
Yes, okay, there's the fan fiction all coming together.
There you go.
That's funny. So yeah, in order to manage this, we look at the galaxy often through the Imperial kind of light. Later in this episode, we'll look at it through some other lenses, but it's most commonly looked at through the Imperial light. So we got the different segmentum majoris, and I found this really long and cool quote. Gerald, maybe you should read this quote. It's the Imperial decree in M31 creating the segmenta majoris.
Okay. What accent do you want me to give it?
Like some old scholarly kind of, either like a Deckard Cain or a Gandalfy type guy.
Okay. And henceforth be it known that the Imperium shall be divided into 5 fleet zones to be known as the Segmenta Majoris. These shall each have segmentum fortress, from whence the orders of his glorious magnificence, the Emperor, shall be enacted. Imperialis command decoratum shall reside in each, and with just duty to be issued over the realms within their boundaries. For the segmentum solar, this shall be Mars, world of the Adeptus Mechanicus, and the segmentum shall extend about Mars. In the north of our most majestic domain shall be segmentum obscurus, being in fiefdom to the world of Cypramundi. To the south it shall make segmentum tempestus, with overlordship residing with the planetary estates of the hereditary Bacca. Excuse me. To the west shall be segmentum pacificus, under the auspices of the lords of Hydrafer. To the most turbulent east, a region of much strife and dissension, and many lost worlds, shall have its overlordship known as the Ultima Segmentum, and its guarantor of safety shall be on the planetary governor Car Deniash. The segment fortress of the imperial official of the administratum shall be known as the master of the segmentum solar. Lastly, the region of segmentum pacificus and the master of ultima segmentum. In this, the emperor is most benevolent, and thus shall the emperor's charges be authority over such domains and reside with those who have the faith and temperament to dictate to the will of those others and take from them that which is the emperor's due. Imperial Decree M31.
All of that to say they're going to just take from you, essentially.
Classic government.
Classic government. Yeah, pretty cool. I like kind of just that scope of like that picture, that snapshot of the galaxy at that time where, you look into the east and, the Ultima 500 worlds, that whole place might not be there right now at this point in time. Might not be fully founded. So yeah, it's kind of fun to look at the galaxy and what they're saying about each little spot. A segmentum called the Segmentum Majoris is a vast partitionary of the Imperium's dominion. 5 colossal gulfs carved into the corpse of the galaxy. These span the whole of the Milky Way, stretching like iron chains across its breadth. The central segmentum solar, the eastern segmentum ultima, the southern segmentum tempestus, and the northern segmentum obscurus, and the western segmentum pacificus. Each segmentum is shattered further into sectors. Their measure dictated by stellar density and the demands of rule through blood and fire. The sector's breadth often consumes 7 million cubic light years, a cube nearly 200 light years across within each humanity clause for survival. So now that we know that too, somebody will be able to find out how many blanks we need to fill up some of these sectors. We can do some quick math here. These sectors are further broken into subsectors, spanning between 2 and 8 star systems within a radius of 10 light years. Sometimes more, sometimes only one, determined by the cruel reality of the warp travel and the weary reach of Imperial Navy patrols. For subsectors count worlds, not empty void. Vast numbered systems within each sector lie beyond their grasp. Unacknowledged, unruled, forsaken. These forsaken tracks are branded intersectors, though among the common tongue they are cursed as wilderness zones, forbidden zones, wilderness space, empty space, or frontier space. Within them fester choking nebulae, shrouded dust clouds, alien dominions, uncharted voids, barren wastes, and dead or unendurable worlds. Endless dark where the Emperor's light is faintest, and extinction waits without end. These like little forsaken zones, these forbidden zones. I feel like a lot of these we're going to be diving into in the upcoming episodes. That's where you find all these like really unique mysteries or kind of these throwaway lines about ancient empires. A lot of kind of cool stuff like that. Each segmentum commands its own battle fleet and merchant fleet, anchored by colossus fortresses that serve as citadels of both the Astra Militarum and the Navis Imperialis. These segmentum fortresses are ruled by masters of segmentum, while the Lord Admirals stalk their fleets like Karen Lords over the oceans of steel. What began as a system of trade and order has long since become the scaffold of tyranny, political cages of iron and fire. Each segmentum fragments further into thousands of sectors, and those again into subsectors of 10 to 20 light years in breadth. Though space is three-dimensional, the Adeptus of Terrace reduce it to planes and lines, east, west, north, and south, mere shadows of the abyss. Thus are the maps of man drawn. The Eye of Terror festers in the galactic northwest, while the eastern fringes burn beyond the Ultima Segmentum. Each name a world or a wound in the endless rotting flesh of the galaxy. Yeah.
Do you ever think, because, semi-topical with what's going on in the U.S., that they try to remove planets and push them into other ones if they don't like them? Like, if there's a bunch of death worlds on the edge of your sectum, you're trying to push them, like, I think you guys should take those.
Man. That's so funny. You ever heard of the short story in a White Dwarf called Rocks Are Not Free, Citizen?
No, I have not.
I've read it on Lorehammer before, but... maybe let me find it because it's a fucking classic and it'll answer your question. But maybe Gerald, reread the next bit and I'll find it.
Sure. The segmentum solar. At the galaxy's poisoned core festers the segmentum solar, its heart, Terra, corpse throne of the Emperor. These are a little bit heretical wordings here.
I was going to say, this feels very chaos coded the way this entire script is written.
Exactly.
Yeah, when I was looking at the galaxy, and I especially got this way when writing the history. Like, what is the history of the galaxy? Well, corpses.
Civilization is born, they live, they die. Lather, rinse, repeat, ad infinitum.
And I've told you this now, and I'll tell my daughter the same, okay?
Here lies Mars, its orbital shipyards vast enough to drown worlds in steel, guarded by the segmentum fortress like a blade to the throat. It is the nexus of all imperial power, the richest and most ancient of humanity's dominions, seated with colonies predating warp travel itself. Countless shrine worlds, fortress bastions, and treasure vaults of blood and relics lie here, among them the blackened forge worlds and the ash-choked battleground of Armageddon.
Cool. I did find that real quick. It was written by Jervis Johnson and published in a White Dwarf. So basically, they get asked a question all the time. Why can't the Imperium just push a couple of asteroids into a rebel planet after all rocks are free? Kind of your thought there. Why can't we just push dangerous planets out of the way? Rocks are not free, citizen. Firstly, you must maneuver the Emperor's naval vessel within the asteroid belt, almost assuredly sustaining damage to the Emperor's ship's paint from micrometeorites while expending the Emperor's precious fuel. Then the tech priest must inspect the rock in question to attain its worthiness to the Emperor's bidding. Should it pass muster, the Emperor's servitors must use the Emperor's scrapers and melta cutters to prepare the potential ordnance for movement. Finally, the tech priest finished, the Emperor's officers may begin maneuvering the Emperor's warship to about the asteroid at the prepared face, expending yet more of the Emperor's fuel, and then begin boosting the stone towards the offensive planet. After a few days of expending prodigious amounts of the Emperor's fuel to accelerate the asteroid into orbit, more fitting to the Emperor's desires, the Emperor's ship may then return to the planet via superluminous warp travel and await the arrival of the stone, still many weeks or months away. After twiddling away the Emperor's time and eating the Emperor's food in a wasteful pursuit of making sure that the Emperor's enemies do not launch a deflection missile, they may finally watch the ordnance impact the planet, assuming that the Emperor's ship does not need to attempt any last-minute course corrections upon the rock, yet using more of the Emperor's fuel. Given a typical Class Bravo C7 system, we have the following. 2 months, O&M, Titan-class warship, 4.2 million Imperials. This is a price breakdown. 2 months rations of crew, 0.2 million. 2 months tech priest pastor, 1.7 million. It gives a bunch of funny ones. Servitors Parish. Paint is 2.5 million. Fuel is costly, 0.9 million. For a grand total of 9.8 million. Alternatively, 5 warheads, Magna Melta, 2.5 million. 1 day with a warship, 1 day ration, a little bit of fuel, 2.9 million. So basically the outcome is, given the same result with under a third of the cost, the Emperor will have saved a massive amount of his money, his sacred money, and almost a full month of time, during which his warship may be bombarding entirely different planets. The Emperor, though, his office of the Imperial Outlays hereby order you to attend 1 week in therapeutic accountancy training and penance. Please report to the Acarion Force Imperial City Administration Building C21 room 1456, where you'd sit in the blue chair and wait.
See, this is why the Imperium is struggling and Chaos is not, because the Imperium does all the math behind something, while Chaos will just throw a Blackstone fortress into something. So they need to work on this together. The one side clearly knows how to do math, but that doesn't matter in war.
Yeah, priceless relic of the galaxy.
Yeah.
One planet, crash it.
Yeah, just I don't know why they're being babies. God, Imperium.
I'm getting this headcanon of Abaddon just pulling a Patrick Star and going, why don't we just take a Blackstone Fortress and shove it somewhere else?
Yeah. Because you can't, okay? It costs a lot of money to do that.
I don't know. He did, and it worked for him, so maybe we need to do more of that. Let's throw more ships into the planets.
Rip Cadia, F's in the chat, everybody. If that's how they do it. I don't know.
We get some F's in the chat for Cadia. R.I.P. Cadia. All right. Now we're going to talk about the Segmentum Obscurus. To the north of Terra spreads the cursed Segmentum Obscurus, forever bleeding from the wound of the Eye of Terror. Here stood Cadia, F's for Cadia in the chat, the fortress world whose eternal sacrifice held back the abyss until it too was devoured. Chat is divided on Cadia, which is making me laugh really hard. We got some F's for them, and we got some other stuff for Cadia. So
some other types of F.
Yeah. And a different F for Cadia. This is a realm of endless sieges, of void rents, and demon incursions without cease. Its naval power is commanded from the iron world of Cypra Mundi, where fleets gather like carrion crows to throw themselves again and again into the jaws of chaos. Every sector here is a battlefield. Every SAR system a roundabout in an unending war against the warp.
Yeah, pretty well. When I was looking at cool sectors, horrific things and war were happening in everyone I looked in. Typical 40s case stuff, but that's what we like, I think.
Mm-hmm.
The Ultima Segmentum. To the east sprawls the greatest and bleakest of all, the Ultima Segmentum. Vast beyond reckoning, it is thinly peopled, its human world scattered like sparks in the void storm. It is the Imperium's frontier, the realm of the Ultramarines and the Empire of Ultramar, but also the bleeding edge of the galaxy itself, the eastern fringes, where the stars burn with alien dominion. From here, the Tyranid high fleets descend in monstrous hunger. Here, too, Tau spread the heretical empire in defiance of mankind's claim. The Segmentum fortress lies upon Duniish, a bastion ever braced against the swarm and the storm. Yeah. This segmentum is brief, or is like sparsely populated. And it's like the frontier because of where the segmentum solar is and Terra is, and the astronomicon essentially. So, the farther away from that you are, the darker it gets in the galaxy, the harder it is for you to actually spread out. So as you get more east, you get farther and farther, and eventually there's still galaxy, but there's no more light.
Yeah, Mark, if you want to blow up like that, the 1, 2, 3, 4th, like middle left, middle left. I think that has like all the different segmentums on it, and like you can just kind of, there you go.
Yeah,
you can see like all that right there, up to the right is the Ultima Segmentum.
Yeah, I'll try to blow that up a bit better here. Yeah, but you can definitely see how much there is. You can see a couple kind of fun spots there. That's a little better. Yeah, you can see how much the eastern fringe is. Where my mouse is now is basically where Terra is. So as you get farther, you have to even go past like the center, the swirl of the galaxy. Like this map isn't even center.
Yeah, I was going to say that because there's in nature you can always find fractals in different things, and a lot of people point that out with the galaxy. It spirals kind of like a fractal. This is almost like a reverse fractal that has two flows coming from Terra. One is that lower part that kind of rolls in there, but then the other part is going outwards towards the galaxy, and it's completely opposite of the way the center of the Milky Way is.
Yeah. And this is actually where, like, if you're looking at this kind of star map, and if you're like deep into real stars, you'll notice that this one has a different amount of arms than our Milky Way galaxy, a different amount of like these branching spirals.
Oh, interesting.
Yes. Yeah. So no, unfortunately, 40,000 years into the future is not our future. Maybe we'll get something better.
Maybe
Star Wars.
maybe. Yeah.
You just tell us when we get there, Mark, from your golden throne after 30,000 years.
Yeah. Okay.
But on to another segmentum, we have Tempestus. To the south coils the segmentum Tempestus, deceptively placid, yet chained by the will of the ecclesiarchy. Here the priesthood rules in blood and scripture, for this domain is consecrated by Ophelia 7, second only to Terra in sanctity, a furnace of holy zeal where worlds burn with faith. The segmentum fleets muster from Baccha, an orbital bastion of steel and doctrine. Though deemed peaceful by imperial measure, it is a peace built on fanatic pyres, for here the hand of the Ministorum tightens its grip without pity. Sorry.
Nice. I love the chat right now. They're desperate to have 40K future our future. Who knows, Lupercal says, what our galaxy is going to do between now and again. Little warp fuckery, who knows? Grimalda says, maybe the Aya Terra contributed to the extra arms. Like, we're desperate to have 40K our future, I think. For your children, for my children.
Yeah, and guaranteed slavery to the Imperium. It's the future we all want.
Yeah. Yep. Even Fuzz is on board. Yeah, between the Necron move in real space, Eldar warp shit, who knows? We're hopeful. We are hopeful. That's so funny.
That is funny. All right. I think this is it's either last or second to last, but the segmentum past I knew I was going to get tongue twisted. Segmentum Pacificus. There we go. To the west rots the Segmentum Pacificus, frontier of silence and dust. Its worlds are few, its populations are scattered, and its dominion fragile as glass before the endless void. It is a shadowed region with more wilderness than empire, where the imperial law fades into isolation and fear. Xenos lurk unseen, cults fester unopposed, and whole systems vanish into dark without a word. Its fleets gather at Hydrafer, a fortress world of ceaseless vigil. Yet the reach of its arms is faint. Pacificus is the quiet grave of mankind, where light gutters out and the frontier consumes.
Yeah.
That's kind of neat to kind of have a Wild West part of your your futuristic galaxy.
Yeah. And then the one thing, like, I think the segmentums need a little bit of an update, because we do have like some Wild West areas. Like we have the whole Imperial Nihilist now. We have the dark half. Like the galaxy's not only ripped in half now, but we also got these quadrants. So I don't know if you just like do like the dark half of the segmentum obscurus, you know, or like how you break that down, but it could be kind of a redrawing, I think.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to redistrict the galaxy.
Little redistricting.
That's illegal.
Oh, that's funny. That's classic. Yeah, but like if you see this picture I kind of pulled up, you see this great rift ripped in half. That basically, cuts the whole galaxy in half, almost at an angle, diagonal. So you kind of do get these segmentums, like the top one, the east, or the east one, and the solar kind of get cut. All right. Up next, we'll dive into the galactic core. What's over that way? The galactic core is the blazing heart of the galaxy, a crucible of fury buried in the ultima segmentum of imperial space. It is encircled by the howling instability of the circumnuclear disk, and at the center yawns a supermassive black hole, a devourer without end, the true gravitational throne of all the stars. For long ages, it was the dominion of the Leagues of Votan. Yet the birth of the Great Rift in the Era Indomitus has dragged others into its depths. Mankind, Chaos, Eldari, Orcs, and Tau alike, each spilling blood and fire across the kin's ancient dominions. The core, where the kin endure, is vast beyond measure. Its star-choked reaches among the most violent in existence. To those beyond its edges, it is a haunted place of terror and secrets, where stellar furnaces scream and unearthly anomalies devour the unready. Every void-born people tell tales of expeditions swallowed whole by its burning womb. Yet for the kin, the core has become a home across millennia, its dangers as familiar as breath, its mercilessness woven into their flesh. The galactic core is a region swollen with intensity, where all fundamental forces rage like unchained gods. The weight of the stars alone blinds the senses and crushes the unwary. Countless worlds have never known darkness, their skies forever drawn or drowned in radiation storms, scourged by exotic rays that sear flesh and warp stone. It is a realm that kills without pause, yet one that breeds strength in those who refuse to fall. I love that line there, just about how some planets in this area never see darkness. Like, the stars are just so densely packed in. You might be kind of slingshotting between a couple stars in this area. Like, yeah, some wild stuff happening in the galaxy there. Within its boundaries, stellar monstrosities wrestle for dominion. The gravities of moons and fragments twist unnaturally, pulling with the might of worlds. Asteroid seas stretch for thousands of kilometers. Ravenous black holes claw at the void. Vitrified nebulae glow with polarized madness. Some said to brood with awareness. Nameless gray stars drift like Charon. Here, the very heavens themselves conspire to murder intruders. Yet despite its abominations, the core teems with life and ambition. Many Xenos infest it, feeding upon the bounty of raw matter. Foremost unchallenged, the kin endure, their leagues spanning much of the core. their fleets and strongholds eternal as stone. Still, predators and scavengers gathered beyond the borders, while raiders, merchants, and aliens, conquerors cut bloody paths through the stars. Orcs in particular infest the region, the foe eternal to the kid, their hatred deep and unforgiving. Rivaling them in and we don't need to read though. That's maybe maybe a little too much kin in this one. You know, this part of the galaxy, it's just like this super dense, resource-rich area. There's so many planets there. So, you know, we were talking about in the beginning of this episode how distance in the galaxy, like for us to go to the next star system, fucking impossible. Not happening, man. Not in our lifetime. But maybe in the denser core areas, like travel and all that kind of stuff is a lot easier to do. There's planets way closer.
I wonder how long, I'm sure there's been an episode about this, but how long it takes a message to get from one end of the galaxy to the other.
I feel like I just read somewhere now that it was the average warp jump was 1,200 years. Now, fuck, man, that number doesn't seem right when you say it.
Yeah, that sounds high.
Sounds very high. And then you kind of factor in like, okay, all these ships that get lost in the warp, you know, maybe all those ones get factored and they actually don't get lost. They just come out so long later. It would be interesting where I wish I remember where I read that, but it seems high.
I'd be interested.
I saw someone else that actually did the math too, and I think they calculated depending on like how much is like a big jump versus a small jump. So if you make a bunch of calculated small jumps, you lessen the risk of getting lost in the warp. So then I think the dude came to the conclusion, like, if you want to go from one end to the other, maybe like a month and a half, give or take, which, you know, factor in warp travel. That's more reasonable, I'd say.
Yeah, that's not bad.
That doesn't sound bad at all.
Yeah, and then for messages and stuff, they have the astropathic wires scattered all over, kind of to act as those little relays to, you know, jump the messages along so they don't get all cloudy. And
I do forget about the choir. I don't know why I shouldn't, but I do.
Yeah.
Alpha Primus makes a pretty interesting point earlier in the chat. He says the internet made people callous to each other because they don't have to worry about the other person across the world. When it's across the galaxy, I would imagine it would become worse and not better. And then let's see here. Lupercall had a bit of a rebuttal. He says, I don't know about that one, if I'm honest. If the internet gave us more access, human nature didn't change with it. We are always been a race of me before you, me first.
Yeah, you have to be, man. We have, you know, 500,000 years of history. They just found a relic from 500,000 years of wooden structure. Anyways, that's a fucking side tangent. But man, like for the longest time, we've just had to fucking scrap and fight and try to survive. Just imagine being alive when dinosaurs were alive. Yeah, you're going to be a little selfish, I think, a little greedy with resources, and a little wary of the unknown. I got one more cool line here about the cradle. Within this hell in the center, the cradle, a nebula swollen with riches, metals, ores, and power enough to feed empires. Here, human raveners prowl, knife ships lurking for prey, striking at any vessel fat with plunder. In the dark between the stars, they harvest blood and spoil alike. Parasites gnawing at the marrow of the galaxy's heart.
Ooh.
Yeah, just stripping, man. Humans are especially good at stripping places of resources. But there's some other good ones out there in the galaxy too. Tyranids.
Do they strip or do they just eat the galaxy?
Yeah, good. Okay.
They literally eat everything. They even eat your air.
Fuzz is thinking that messages with the astropathic choir he imagined is very fast. Yeah, like if somebody was doing that math and it's like a year to cross the galaxy, and that's to move a ship, then yeah, to move some like words, you'd cut that down significantly.
Mm-hmm. Good old warp fuckery.
Yeah.
All right, we got another part of the galaxy called the circumnuclear disk.
Oh, you
This
said that's so much better than me.
This cursed threshold of void looms about the galactic core. From afar, it writhes as a shifting patchwork of corpse-hued nebula, forever collapsing inward toward the hungry heart of the core. And complete side tangent, I think NASA managed to capture like a sound bite of an active black hole. I'm not sure if it's the one at the center of our galaxy or another nearby one. And of course they had to tweak it because like it sounds at a frequency that is impossible for us to hear. So they kind of amplified it quite a bit, and it sounds scary. I don't know how else to phrase it. It sounds scary.
Interesting.
So-
I wish I could pull that up right now.
I found it and I'm releasing to it. I'm listening to it. It
Yeah.
sounds exactly what I would think a black hole would sound like.
Maybe
Yes.
drop a link in the Discord for some people and they can listen to it that way.
Yeah. It's unnerving almost.
Okay.
Anyways.
It does sound. It sounds like Doom is the easiest way to describe it.
Yeah. Does it sound hungry?
The maw.
The maw. Okay. Drawn closer, its true murderous nature is unveiled. Here, the disk is torn by unstable warp tides beneath the skin of real space, plagued by baleful radiation, wandering gravitic rifts, crushing asteroid shoals, and rogue stars cast adrift upon the void. It is a death-laden passage to attempt, even for the most veteran helmsmen and warp guides. The circumnuclear disk marks the last borders of Votan dominion in the eyes of most kin, and beyond it stretches the black damnation of far space.
Cool.
I like
Another one.
circumnuclear disk. That sounds so cool.
Yeah, I like it.
Mm-hmm.
All right, but let's talk about everybody's favorite thing. Let's talk about some warp riffs.
Mm-hmm.
On rare and accursed occasions, the immaterium claws its way into reality, tearing open the veil in what is named a warp rift. A warp rift is the sundered skin of the galaxy, a rent where I think it's a rip where the barrier between real space and the Empyrean collapses, and the monstrosities of the warp spill into the mortal plane. At times, these wounds erupt without warning. At others, they are ripped open by the will of the dark gods or by the profane craft of mortals. Some endure but a heartbeat. Others linger for solar days, standard years, or fester for Terran centuries. They manifest in countless shapes, seething vortices of shrieking madness, or fleeting visions of the howling kingdom of chaos. They are seen as gates of emerald flame, clouds of choking blackness, oceans of boiling pus, and 1,000 horrors that unmake the minds of men. Such rifts are swiftly infested by the once human slaves of the ruinous powers, become altars of blood and rot where unthinkable atrocities are carved into the void by the warbands of chaos. Countless poisons can birth a warp rift in the fabric of reality. The fickle convolutions of the warp gnawing through the unshielded space, the demon-ridden ruin of a corrupted psyker, the blasphemous rites of cults who barter souls for power, the psychic detonation of agony and the mass death in the wake of an atrocity or war, the catastrophic implosions of a warp drive, or the unified malice of the four gods of chaos tearing a hole through existence.
Yeah, and this is what makes 40K unique. These warp rifts, these holes in reality, that's chaotic energy, malicious energy, entities even are pouring out of and infesting our galaxy now. Yeah, these warp rifts are what you notice almost right away when you look at a map of 40K. They're what draw your eye.
Mm-hmm.
So in reading that and you mentioning how big and broad 40K is, do we think that 40K is the sci-fi franchise that pumps out the most content per year?
That's a good question.
Ooh.
Because I feel like there's at least one new thing a month advancing the lore.
Either
they do
that
games, editions, other things. And I think even if you combine Star Trek and Star Wars, it wouldn't come close to the amount of content they push out.
Because Black Library alone has like over 600 books.
Yeah, and there's a new one every month.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's wild. Yeah. I don't know what else compares. Sure, maybe Disney is pumping out a bunch of Star Wars movies or whatever, but that doesn't.
They need to stop.
Matter.
They need to stop.
They're not even doing it fast enough to compete. With this. Let's be clear.
Yeah. Huh. Yeah. I like it. I like it though, man. 20 plus years in the hobby, and you're still learning a bunch of stuff about it, and they're still coming out with stuff. Not all of it's good. Most of it's pretty good though.
Primaris are great.
I love them, man. Best update.
How fast your head just whipped around to stare at me on the camera.
Yeah. Someone drag that man off screen and beat him.
It's like, try harder for Neil deGrasse Tyson next time.
Yeah.
Please submit yourself to the nearest Imperial Correctional Facility.
Yeah, true. I gotta get re-educated.
That's so. Yeah, I think the chat's agreeing with you about how much 40K is pumping out. It is wild, and yeah, even I'm thinking about like D&D or like Wizards and stuff, like some of these other kind of more war game things, more than like media, or like Pokemon or like Dragon Ball, and like they're just none of it competes. They're not the same in amount.
It's really not, because even if you think about Pokemon, there's a new mainline game every 1 or 2 years, and then there's an anime to go with it. But still, that's a show and a game, partner with a few side games and card game release, which is cool, but the card game doesn't really advance the lore. It's based on the game of the show.
Yeah. Well, diving into some of the major rifts, you've heard us talk about them before, but we'll go over them quickly here. The Eye of Terror. The Eye of Terror, called the Oculus Terribus in High Gothic, is a massive warp rift and a permanent warp storm approximately 20,000 light years across, a nexus of psychic energy and physical space-time, where the immaterium coexists with real space. It is the largest, most well-known warp rift in the Milky Way galaxy, and is located at the rimward edge of the galaxy to the galactic northwest of Terra, in the Segmentum Obscurus. It is home to the largest concentration of forces of chaos in real space, including the traitor legions of Chaos Space Marines that fled from Terra after the end of the Horus Heresy. You've heard us talk about the Eye of Terror so many times. It comes up. It's such core 40K lore, as it's tied to the Eldar so intrinsically in Slanesh, and even like after that was born, the Emperor launched his crusade. Like after the galaxy died down, that's when the Emperor went. Like it just kind of all cycles off this warp storm.
I'll just say this right here, right now. Thanks a lot, Knife Ears.
God damn. Yeah, honestly, man, I got a rant about them. After the history, we got some Knife Ear rants coming. They fucked up, I think.
You done goofed.
They goofed.
We got another famous warp storm, though, called the Maelstrom. The Maelstrom within the region of Imperial space. The Maelstrom with the region of Imperial space surrounding it, commonly referred to as the Maelstrom Zone, also known by its ponderous administratum designation, Maelstrom Adjacent Autonomous Imperial Resource Extracting Zone Grid 004-357. Say that 5 times fast. There will be a pop quiz later. Jot that down. It is a massive and ancient warp rift located near the galactic core in the Ultima Segmentum. This area of space is riven with warp storms so intense that stellar travel in the region is virtually impossible. Unlike the Eye of Terror, which was created by the birth of the chaos god Slanesh, The maelstrom is, as far as Imperial records scholars can ascertain, a naturally occurring phenomenon. That is a terrifying prospect.
Yeah, don't like that.
Like, what would it have taken for it to come into existence? If not millions of years of knife-eared hedonism and debauchery.
Yeah, and it's so weird that we don't know what caused it. Like maybe it was the very first one that happened during the enslaver plague. But yeah, we don't know what caused this one, but it's there. It's not going anywhere.
I think we can blame the Eldar. It's clear to me.
I'm down. Yeah.
Based on no preface, just Gerald said it, so it's true.
Why would he lie?
Yeah, why would he lie on a podcast? Really, people go on
Come
podcasts
on.
and lie.
This is
Never
so
happened.
heavily researched. Come
100%.
on.
I could definitely make an Emma Trump joke here, but I'm not going to. Too easy. Too easy.
All right. Next, we're going to talk about the Cixidrix Maledictum. The Great Rift, also known as the Cixidrix Maledictum in High Gothic, is a tear in reality and a raging galaxy-wide warp storm that has essentially ripped the territory from the Imperium of Man in half. The rift is known by other sentient cultures of the galaxy by various names, including the Crimson Path, the Mouth of Ruin, Warp Scar, Dathadane, Gork's Grin, that is so base, and 1,000 other names besides. Even before the fall of Cadia, the Immaterium had been growing ever more turbulent. Travel and communication suffered increasing disturbances as the events of Abaddon the Spoiler's 13th Black Crusade unfolded in 9999.m41. Eventually, the Materium could take no more, and a titanic rift tore across the galaxy, spreading from the Eye of Terror to the Hedrex anomaly on the eastern fringe. To those on the Terran side of the rift, it is a tainted scar stretching across the sky. To those unfortunate on the far side is something much worse, the very gates of hell.
Fucking tight, man.
Oof. That last line goes hard.
It does.
Yeah.
It really does.
Best edition of 40K in like long time, man. Like ripping the galaxy in half. That's so fucking cool.
We need to move the narrative along. Tear it in half.
Rip it in half.
What? Tear it in half.
Yeah.
Let the Imperium die.
Yeah. And I've been resisting every time someone says galaxy to go, let the galaxy burn. It's in my heart right now.
Cool. Well, that's some things we know about, like kind of the layout of the galaxy. We'll get into the history of the galaxy. This is pretty homebrewy, though. I'm going to read this little section, then I'll tell you what I mean here. The true history of the galaxy is not written in the rise and fall of empires, but in the slow, relentless corruption of reality by the warp. In the earliest ages, the galaxy was calm, the Immaterium a distant and inscrutable sea, and mortal civilizations unaware of its influence. But the war in heaven shattered that serenity, and since that time, the warp has gradually bled into real space, its malign energies twisting matter and mind alike. Over millennia, this insidious tide has sparked cataclysms such as the Enslaver Plague, the formation of the Eye of Terror, and countless other convulsions that have reshaped star systems and civilizations. In the present era, the galaxy is cleaved by the Great Rift, a yawning scar of psychic fire and demonic fury, and all evidence suggests that it is only beginning. In time, the entire Milky Way galaxy may be consumed by the Immaterium, leaving nothing but fire, madness, and ruin in its wake. So when we're talking about a history of the galaxy, okay, sure, we could jump back to the old ones, and then we could talk about the Necrons and the war in heaven, and then we could talk blah-de-blah-de-blah. we could go through the timelines of these empires, but it doesn't matter. The galaxy is more than the empires that come and go within them. I feel like, yeah, the story of the galaxy is it being corrupted. It itself is being corrupted by the warp, and slowly, year after year, more of it is being consumed and devoured and lost.
I can see that.
So that explains why the notes are very chaos coded.
Yeah, exactly, man. Like, it's only a matter of time till the galaxy comes, or the warp just consumes it all. It's spreading, you know. I broke it into 4 unofficial eras that I was kind of thinking of and playing around with. I didn't come up with good names for them, but you know, the concept's there. So the first one is the pre-warp. Then we got like a little mild warp flavoring. Then it's pretty warpy, and then finally heavy warp.
I love this.
That makes sense. That makes sense. So let's talk about the pre-warp era. In the earliest ages of the galaxy, the Old Ones ruled over a cosmos still young and mostly untouched by the malign energies of the warp. Civilizations rose under their guidance, and star systems flourished in the relative stability. Yet even in this time, the seeds of chaos were sown, and the catastrophic enslaver plague tore across the galaxy, showing mortals and immortals alike the first true taste of the warp's deadly reach. Though the stars were bright and life abundant, the galaxy had already glimpsed the shadow that would one day engulf it.
So, tick 1 against the Eldar, the enslaver plague. Basically, the Old Ones made the Eldar, and they started using some psychic powers to battle the Necron, and they dug too deep, and they messed with the warp and created entities in it that then leached into the galaxy. So this was your very first kind of like the warp. Before this, it was a calm, stable ocean, but this was the first like rock thrown into that ocean, and the first like little ripple of it all happening.
All right, I'm following. All right, now we're going to do mild warp. You know, for those of you who can't handle hot warp, you do mild warp.
That's white people out there.
Yeah, me, 100%. I can't do. I was a quick tangent. The last time, not the last time, one of the first times I ever had mild wings, because I just cannot handle heat. I went with my boss when I worked at In-N-Out. And he's like, "Oh, do mild." I'm like, "Oh, dude, it's gonna be too hot for me. I can't deal. Look at my complexion. I can't deal with it." And he goes, "No, you could do it." So I'm eating them. My face is red. I'm sweating. I'm dying. I'm like, "Dude, these are mild. What is hot like?" And he's laughing the whole time. And finally, he's like, "Dude, I think you're being a baby." And he takes a bite and he goes, "These are not mild. These are extra hot." And I'm like, "Oh my God.
Man!"
Yeah. So because it was my first time having them, I'm just like, how do people live like this?
Why?
If it makes you feel better, Logan, I normally like my spicy stuff. I went to a Buffalo Wild Wings one year. I was feeling very brave and stupid. I said, "I want a 10-piece of the hottest wings you got."
Why would you do that?
I was feeling very brave and stupid at that time. First one, very strong kick. I might have felt like the corner of my eye start to water. I'm gonna power through this. I'll just keep on going. I got some ranch dressing.
Don't let 'em see you cry.
Three wings in, I'm starting to sweat. My face is turning red, and then I made it about 6 wings in. I couldn't take it anymore. I was just like crying uncontrollably, and so the waitress, bless her, tried to go back to find me a glass of milk. They ran out of milk that night. So like, okay, here's some apple juice here's some apple juice on the house. That made the burning worse.
Oh no.
And don't ask me how that all came out the other side later.
Oh, God.
Yeah. I'm glad down in Panama they're not too rowdy with the hot sauces down here. You know, some of these Latin American countries get a little spicy. Not here though. It's not bad.
That's good. All right, but back to our mild, possibly hot warp.
We'll get to the hot warp. Don't worry.
Is it down there? Yeah, right. I see it. All right. After the war in heaven, the warp began to stir, taking on shape, sentience, and purpose. Its energies coalesced, and from this primordial tide emerged the first of the chaos gods, their power gathering in secret. drawing the worshippers and mortals alike into corruption. The galaxy, still dominated by older races, began to feel the insidious pull of the Immaterium as these entities spread their influence, sowing discord, mutating matter, and bending the minds of the unwary. What had once been a distant void was now a subtle and omnipresent force, shaping events across the stars. You know, someone said those wings. But I think back when we did an episode on the Great Rifts, one of our topics of discussion was whether or not it truly was sentient or not. And it sounds like now you're leaning more towards it is sentient. Is that accurate?
Yeah, could be, could be. Yeah, like with this part, like we basically have 60 million years of kind of history of after the war in heaven, where the Elder are in power before we kind of see them destroy their empire. And we don't really know what they get up to. We know they create like a perfect utopia. We know they spread out across the galaxy. But yeah, then in the warp, we kind of just like see things slowly start to develop. Like at first, it was the enslavers, but then at some point, 3 chaos gods are born. Sometimes people like they're born during the dark age of human history, the dark ages of human history, or they're just born whenever, like we got 60 million years of them just kind of slowly coalescing and just forming and gathering energy and power before they make any type of move.
The best explanation that I can somewhat stomach is was during the war in heaven, that's when the big 3 started to coalesce and like their energies gathered, and it wasn't until like humanity's dark ages or whatever that they finally like came into being, so to speak. But again, that's y'all have heard my thoughts on like that whole thing before, so I'm like I can somewhat stomach that thought.
Yeah, and ultimately it's best left up to Imperial scholars because we won't ever find the answer for that one. We just know that the gods were formed during this kind of warpy period. And then finally we get into the heavy warp where, you get 1 god, sure, you get 2 god, okay, 3 god, fine. But 4 gods, now you got a pantheon, and now we got some problems. So
yeah, talking about the nuclear option here with Buffalo Wild Wings, we're going for the nuclear option when it comes to the warp. Now in the age of the Great Rift,
sorry, Gerald. I forgot to read my section even. So we're doing
whoops.
warpy next. Yeah, no, that's my bad. I sent you on to the heavy warp.
You got me set up, man.
I know.
So excited.
Fuck, I ruined it. All right, the warpy time. The fall of the Eldar shattered the calm further, unleashing the horrors that birthed the Eye of Terror and a new chaos god into the galaxy. During this period, the Imperium of Man, led by the Emperor, began its vast expansion, bringing countless worlds under the dominion of humanity. Yet even as the Emperor's fleet spread across the void, the shadows of chaos loomed ever closer. The Horse Heresy erupted, fracturing the Imperium from within and allowing the ruinous powers to expand their grasp, proving that no realm, no matter how vast or fortified, could remain untouched by the Immaterium's corruption. Yeah, so we kind of just reached this tipping point where, like, it wasn't just that Slaanesh was birthed at this time. It's that, you had 3 other gods that were now powerful and formed, and now you have Slaanesh, and now they feel like, okay, now we can really start playing the great game in the galaxy.
I like that phrase, the great game in the galaxy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because what is
human souls?
Because what is this but just one big game of things that are beyond our comprehension?
Yeah.
And now we talk about the nuclear warp option here. Now in the age of the Great Rift, the galaxy is torn in 2 by a scar of raw psychic energy and demonic fury. Chaos seeps relentlessly into every sector, consuming worlds, twisting realities, and corrupting the souls of billions. The Imperium itself survives only as two fractured halves, struggling to defend its far-flung domains against horrors that slither from the warp. Entire star systems vanish into madness, and the galaxy teeters on the edge of a total psychic apocalypse as the Immaterium grows ever stronger, promising a future where no corner of the Milky Way will remain untouched by darkness. It makes me think of the cinematic for 10th edition when Gilliman is doing his they say we're winning but we're actually losing, and it actually cut to like a planet as the cicatrix is that what it's actually called, just comes in and just like literally like eats the planet. And
Yeah.
No, they're
Yeah.
winning.
They're winning. Terrific victory.
The Imperium's just going, nah, I'd win.
Good. You just brought the warp to us. Now we don't have to go to the warp.
Yeah. I forgot which one, but there's a famous Marine general that was like, when they got surrounded, he's like, oh, cool. Now we don't have to worry about which way we're shooting. Like, he felt bad for them.
They outnumber us 400 to 1. Poor bastards.
Yeah. Oh, sucks to be them. All right. Speaking of nah, I'd win, the victory of the warp. There are conflicting accounts as to whether it is Zinch, the emperor of mankind, or a creature known as the Newman that prevents the Immaterium from spilling out and completely engulfing and uniting with the material universe. However, recent events in the Era Indomitus seem to imply the anti-psychic Blackstone-based technology of the Necrons contributes too. It is also possible that simple physical laws of real space itself act as a barrier. It should also be noted that the Immaterium seems to be relevant only to the Milky Way galaxy, although the Tyranids' extragalactic origin as a psychic species pose a question, implying that it is either a unique occurrence or that there may be other warp shadows in other galaxies where sentient life exists, or that the warp continues in other areas, but uninhabited by demons due to the lack of sentience in the local corresponding region of space-time. A paradox of thought is apparent. The extra-dimensional entities of the warp are sustained by the minds and souls of living creatures within the physical universe. So, what would happen to the warp if all intelligent life was obliterated through the fall of physical reality to chaos as the chaos gods and their mortals servants seek? The Immaterium itself might very well cease to exist as creation itself unravels.
Nice. Problem solved. Kill all humans and then no more
Yeah,
war.
just glass it all. We'll be fine.
Glass it.
The going up a little bit where it talked about different galaxies that aren't interacting with the warp because there's no anything. I don't know if they would do this, but it would be interesting because Sigmar has the same gods as 40K, but they're two separate universes. It would be funny if, like, on the other side of the Immaterium, there is the Sigmar stuff. It is one. It's one combined universe, but they're two galaxies separated by the warp rift.
Yeah. You go in one rift here, and you pop out in the AOS. Yeah.
You pop out. Why are there talking rats?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, like the warp extending to other galaxies is interesting. Like, we don't know. Maybe the other galaxies don't quite have the same emotions we would have, or the same races that put out the same emotions. And they might create their own shadows or manifestations in the warp that we don't know about. Hard to say. Do you guys like to think that the warp kind of extends and like Khorne is kind of like a universal, not like a galaxy? Galaxversal?
Galaxversal. I don't know, because it's how do I put this? It feels kind of lazy to me to just recycle a character from one IP to another, that being 40K and Sigmar. So I would like to think that they have at some point some plan to where, like I said, you can travel through the warp and you're there, or it's an alternate history where the emperor was never alive. Just something to tie
You want
the
to
two
see it
together.
tied.
It's because it's a pet peeve I have with different things. It's like, okay, it's the exact same character, but it has nothing to do with the exact same character over here. They look the same, they talk the same, they do the exact same things. It's just over here they have barbarians as their worshippers, and over here they have the world eaters. But they're different guys. They're totally different guys. That's annoying.
Okay. Well, that's a hot take. I don't like that take at all, but
Yeah.
you're welcome to it.
Well, once again, Neil deGrasse Tyson said no, so you're stuck with me.
Damn it. Well, that's okay. It's not the worst. Yeah, it would be cool, like maybe if you just got like one character who somehow crossed, like not like Korn, but like that whole portal jump where one character does jump and it's like you got this fantasy knight now in 40K.
Yeah. I need to ask my co-host from Grimlore this, because there actually is I believe it's an Age of Sigmar book where there's a very thinly veiled reference to Kaldor freaking Drago of the Grey Knights showing up.
Some silver knight. I vaguely recall him mentioning that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then I think there was another very thinly veiled reference, like the Skaven Far Squeaker accidentally got in contact with like 40K Eldar instead of like the high elves or whatever from Age of Sigmar.
And and maybe there's multiple corns. Maybe they just call they call it corn, but it's a multitude of beings. I would be cool with that. I just want some explanation of why this universe and this universe have the same dudes, but they're not the same dudes.
All right, I'll talk to him next time I talk to him. I'll get
please,
W on the horn.
We'll get James Workshops on the phone and ask these questions.
Yeah, we're on it. Warhammer Legal, jot that down. Get on it.
Totally jealous at all the Chaos players. They just choose Chaos Demons. Boom, they can play any system they want. Win.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, they've been cutting down on the Chaos Codexes a lot. And I think by next edition, you're going to have to play the Traitor Legion to use those demons. I don't think there'll be vanilla demons anymore.
Oh, man.
Weird.
So much for the year of chaos.
Okay. Everyone said, I did the math on that. Over half of the stuff released this year has been chaos related, which is a lot when you think about it. But then a lot of people are like, oh, but it should have all been chaos. I'm like, then what do you do with the rest of the players all year?
Yeah, come on.
Do you just want half your audience to eat it and not spend any money for a year?
A little unreasonable.
You can't not put a new Ultramarine model out every month without there's being some kind of a riot.
They gave you a whole new codex for chaos, a whole new book. Feels chaosy to me. And knights are broken, so you got that going for you.
Busted.
Everyone should just get one of every army, I think. Personally, I think that should be the goal.
Hey, do not tempt me, because I will do it.
Satan.
I got like 5 armies in my closet right now of nothing but gray sprues.
Oh, yes, I love that.
I've been selling my armies of gray sprues because I've come to the realization I'm not going to get to you.
No, you're still young, Logan. You still got a long life ahead of you. Don't give up yet. You just had a bad day.
They're going to be Legends models by the time I'm done painting them.
Oh, that's going to happen to me, but I don't care. I got them. I'm going to fucking paint them.
Well, speaking of armies, territories, civilizations, the Milky Way galaxy is endless conflict. Its stars divided among countless empires, war zones, and frontier realms. At its heart lies the Imperium of Man, a sprawling dominion of over 1 million worlds ruled from sacred Terra, its fleets and armies enforcing the Emperor's will across the stars. Beyond imperial space lies the turbulent territories of alien civilizations, from the merciless Tyranid hive fleets spilling in from the galactic edges to the inscrutable Eldar and their hidden craft worlds, and the merciless, ever-hungry orcs warring across hundreds of fractured empires. The Tau carve out expanding dominions along the eastern fringe, while scattered abhuman and kin maintain secretive, isolated realms in the galactic core. Everywhere the Necron awaken from their tombs, reclaiming lost worlds with cold inevitability. The hidden corners of the galaxy harbor rogue warlords chaos cults and unknown horrors that defy cataloging. The Milky Way is a brutal chessboard of death and ambition, its territories never at peace, and every star a potential battlefield in the unending war of the cosmos. Yeah, you can figure out which races we're talking about. There's Orcs, there's Tau, there's Imperium, there's all the big ones, but there's so many more. We just went on like that huge series where we did like 10 episodes on all the minor Xenos as well, and just all the different little empires and corners that exist here. So lots of fun. It's fun little Xenos.
This is barely scratching the surface of just like what all is truly out there.
Yeah.
Do we want to go over like all the different territorial maps, or should I finish out this segment?
While you're reading that, I'm going to pull up just different territory maps here. Definitely watch while we're reading. You'll see some stuff just kind of flash through.
All right, go ahead. Sounds good. This is a short segment, don't worry. Other galaxies. The gulf between galaxies is so immense that intergalactic travel is all but impossible, even with the most advanced warp drives. To be cast violently off course by a warp storm can hurl a vessel beyond the galaxy entirely or through some forgotten alien gate of the webway. The Imperium maintains no foothold beyond the galactic spiral, yet it is known that alien life festers there. The Tyranids originate from some nameless void beyond the stars, hungering for the galaxy's flesh. And in the coming episodes, there are different spots in the galaxy that we will talk about. I
kind of was just shotgunning some different systems down there. You're welcome to read them. Not all of them will be discussed. I'm still narrowing down what we're going to be going through in the coming episodes.
I'll point out a couple that I'm more familiar with. We got the Armageddon sector. A lot of stuff happens in Armageddon, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, there was a Crusade book about like the fourth or fifth War of Armageddon, and stuff goes down.
Yeah.
Let's see here. We got the Badab sector, home of the very famous Badab War, which my understanding was like the second biggest Space Marine versus Space Marine conflict after the Horus Heresy. So that will definitely deserve its own series of episodes at some point. Let's see here. We got the Halo Zone. Also, I think that's also part of the Halo Stars. That's a very popular spot. Got a lot of weird stuff. The Ghoul Stars, that's another very weird spot with a lot of weird things going on and scary stuff. The Calixis sector, which I believe was like a major part of the Dark Heresy RPG, if I'm not mistaken. A lot of like heretical stuff goes on there. So very fun. You can
spend a lot of time in that sector for sure. There's so much information. Yeah. Those Dark Heresy books or any RPG books, man, you just get such awesome, well thought out sectors and just so many cool little planets and all that kind of fun stuff. I've read lots of homebrew lore from everyone, and everyone always develops their planets and stuff. So maybe when we're going through these episodes, just think of like things that GW includes, like what is the tithe grade of this planet? What segmentum are they in? Just different things like that you can always add and kind of just really make your lore feel a little more fleshed out or believable. Cool. Well, that is this episode. Like I said, it's kind of just a little context episode. Here's some star charts for you. Take a peek. And we're going to be diving into some of these other places in the upcoming episodes. Let's do some call-ins maybe real quick. Let's do a call-in or two. I'll post a link there. And then we'll wrap it up. Let's just do one here. First guy in. Yeah, the Badab sector, that one's wild too. That whole conflict and stuff, and even how it happens and why it happens. Space Marines don't like being retired, basically. I should have put a link in the chat a little sooner. Let's see if anyone pops in. I know there are people out there. I'm looking at you.
Do, 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 do.
Yeah. People are saying they're up to stuff. So let's just call it this. What are you guys going to say about this episode anyways, beyond trying to say Cicadrix maledictum correctly? There's not much else to say. So
Did I say it wrong?
I don't think anyone in the world has said it right. So it's not.
That's a good one.
Yeah, I don't know if you saw in my notes. I put Cicadrix next to it because I knew I was going to say it wrong if I didn't spell it for myself.
We got Fuzz. Fuzz might be able to join us in just a moment. So,
let's
Yeah,
call
it's up
her.
to
Let's
you.
get into end notes. Let's see what happens. He might be able to rush in, but if I finish the end notes, that's the way she goes. Check me out at Lorehammer Listen to Lore podcast. I read your homebrew lore, and it's pretty fun. It's pretty neat. I have a good time doing it.
And then, as we were talking about the multiple ways that you can play Chaos Demons, you can come on over to Grimlore, and we would talk about Warhammer Fantasy and a little bit of Age of Sigmar. We just celebrated our 2-year anniversary as a podcast this past Saturday. So 51 episodes, 51 episodes strong, and we're still going.
Love it.
Nice. That's awesome. Yeah. And if you want something totally different and you like cryptids, conspiracies, and mysteries, come find me on YouTube at Hydra Thoughts. We've got a bunch of cool new videos coming in the pipe, so hope to see you there.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, everyone have a great night, and we'll see you on the next episode. Adios.